Jim Jones has officially hit rock bottom. At this point, I don't know how you show your face on the internet again. For some very dumb reason, Jim Jones decided he wanted to beef with 50 Cent, and now 50 Cent got Jim Jones in a checkmate, cornered at all angles.
Just in the Breakfast Club, Jimmy popping all that bullshit. I'd be seeing you, Jimmy talking about, we Gucci boo-boo, he in the Gucci store, talking about, we Gucci boo. The Black King niggas was going fuck you up. Jimmy, they was like, Marita Moneda, fucking Coca-Cola, Pedro.
It be money in case they wanted to know. Tell them we Gucci. We Gucci, boo-boo.
Jim Jones and his podcast crew went off on 50 Cent's documentary work during the live episode, and that move didn't sit well with 50's people. What came next wasn't some simple diss track or an online argument. It turned into real-life chaos. Instead of trading words, there was leaked footage, a sudden eviction, and what looked like a full-blown setup that ended with Jim Jones literally locked out of his own studio. The situation exploded fast, leaving everyone wondering just how deep 50's connections really run.
Jim Jones is down bad.
What's up? What happened? Yeah, I'm good.
50 Cent recently posted a video of Jim Jones allegedly getting evicted. In the video, you can see Jim Jones at the door of his rented lease space, kicking down the door after it was reported that he had not paid rent and tried to stiff the venue owner.
This is how 50 Cent's crew fired back after Jim Jones came for G-Unit. Part 1, the podcast that started it all. On February 19th, 2026, security footage hit the internet, showing Jim Jones kicking down the door to his own studio after finding the locks changed and the power shut off. And get this, the clip wasn't dropped by some random person. It came straight from inside his circle. It turns out the footage wasn't leaked by accident. It was posted by 50 Cent himself. He had teamed up with the building's landlord and even claimed ownership of the property in the days that followed. 50's affiliates, his business partners, the landlord, and even Cameron, Jones's old Dipset teammate, all joined in on the takedown. They shared eviction papers, dropped recorded phone calls, and flooded social media with receipts. They didn't throw hands. They hit Jim Jones where it hurt most, his wallet and his pride. The attack wasn't violent. It was strategic, public, and brutal.
Not a rapper.
What?
He was, you know, man, like on the side, like in the side, just he was not a rapper at all. And balling took place, and I'm looking and I'm going, oh, he having a moment. That's the Lloyd Banks. It's Lloyd Banks thing. He wanted that, them be that, like Mace be that, it can be that, and looked at, and he was finally, he had one. Look, and I knew, I just took the shot, see, because I was sure to go for it. But I was like, he like Jimmy better than you anyway, Cam. I watch to see how women say this. You're like, oh, he really like that. Get me that.
Every move seemed planned, like a slow burn that exploded right in front of everyone's eyes. But this war didn't start out of nowhere. It had been brewing since one podcast episode 2 months earlier. Back in December 2025, Jim Jones sat down with Milo Fies and Dave East on their podcast, Let's Rap About It. The chat started chill, just talking about documentaries, but then the topic got deep. They began asking if it was right for someone to make a documentary about another person without that person's approval. Dave East threw out the question, and what came next sparked a feud that 50 Cent took real personal. The message wasn't hidden at all. It was loud and clear. The crew wasn't talking in riddles or hypotheticals, even if they tried to play it off that way later. The timing said everything. Just days before, 50 Cent had dropped Sean Combs' The Reckoning, a Netflix docuseries diving deep into the serious allegations surrounding Diddy. The Let's Rap About It team didn't hold back. They saw the project as pure exploitation. They threw shade at the whole thing, calling it a so-called documentary, questioning 50's motives, and saying it looked like someone using a camera as a weapon to destroy another man's image. Their words got sharper with every minute, their tone heavier. They made it crystal clear they thought something was seriously off about making someone look bad through a film they never approved. It was a bold stance, and they said it like they meant it. Now, whether Jim Jones was calling out that specific documentary or just talking in general, that's still up for debate. But Milo Fies jumped right in, asking if projects like that were even legal, throwing around words like defamation and unauthorized likeness. Things were getting messy fast.
You guys are unaware, it was previously reported that Jim Jones had people in there working, but there was no heat, and this was back in like the middle of December. After 50 Cent got wind that Jim Jones allegedly got evicted from his lease space, he posted the video on his Instagram titled, "Damn bro, this wouldn't have happened if we were friends. Wanna be friends? I don't know, let's rap about it, LOL." Then elevated his level of petty by posting the eviction letter that was posted on Jim Jones's door, which is absolutely diabolical if you ask me.
Manio later jumped on Instagram Instagram trying to clear things up, saying his comments were just part of a bigger convo about documentaries in general, not a direct shot at 50. But by then, the fire was already blazing. 50 Cent didn't see it as a casual chat. He took it personal. And when 50 feels disrespected, what comes next is never just talk. He went straight for the jugular, labeling the whole Let's Rap About It crew as squatters and bums, claiming they owed nearly $250,000 in back rent for the very studio they were filming in. Then he reposted the clip on Instagram, throwing heavy taunts and even flexing that he'd buy the entire studio himself. He wasn't just clapping back, he was tearing down their reputation piece by piece. Manio tried to swing back, firing off on Instagram with bold words, warning 50 that if it's smoke, it's smoke. By Christmas Day 2025, he even dropped a squatters' rights freestyle, rapping over one of 50's own beats and dissing him head on. It was gutsy, no doubt, but instead of hurting 50, it only gave him more ammunition to keep the war going. And trust, 50 wasn't done yet, not even close. What Jim Jones and his co-hosts didn't realize was that by questioning 50's documentary, they'd cracked open a door that 50 Cent was more than ready to step through, lease papers in hand. The landlord tapes were about to change everything. The podcast criticism was one thing, but what 50 pulled next was on a whole different level. Instead of throwing shots online or dropping a diss record, 50 went straight to the landlord at Jim Jones' studio and handled things the corporate way, with receipts. In a move fans later called downright diabolical, 50 recorded a full phone convo with the building's owner, exposing every messy detail about Jim's situation. Then he shared that audio clip publicly, putting everything out there for the world to hear. The landlord, identified as Sam, didn't hold back. He laid it all out, explaining how their business relationship had gone from professional to pure chaos. Sam claimed Jim Jones had been running his studio under sketchy lease terms, always asking for major renovations and favors, but never locking in an official deal. According to Sam, Jones wanted all the...
I wasn't even on my... That's that called a weak one.
The likeness dot.
Damn.
You seen it? The likeness dot.
They looking small out here.
On the internet?
Word up.
I ain't gonna front.
I think, yeah, if they saluting you, first of all, they want somebody doing a documentary about you. You'd be a dope documentary. You're gonna be dope. Showing who you are, what you've done, everything you've accomplished. Like, yeah, documentary is a big thing. Like, you don't want nobody doing a documentary about some, like, trying to just make your whole character look weak. Like, that's petty behavior.
Perks of the spot without taking on the responsibilities that came with it. But here's the real twist. This wasn't just a rent issue. Sam hinted that the money problems ran way deeper than anyone thought, painting a picture of financial drama that stretched far beyond one unpaid lease. Turns out, the landlord wasn't just some guy collecting rent checks. He was deep in the mix. Sam claimed he actually had a contractual stake in the podcast's media content itself. According to him, half of everything Jim Jones and his team created in that studio legally belonged to the building owner under their original deal. That's wild. But here's where things really got messy. Sam said Jim refused to share earnings or follow through on the terms of their agreement. No reports, no cooperation, just silence. The secrecy and lack of trust supposedly pushed their business relationship right over the edge. And when it all fell apart, Sam made a move that shocked everyone. He offered to sell his share of the podcast's content to none other than 50 Cent. As a sweetener, he said. That offer showed exactly how twisted and transactional things had gotten, and how little faith Sam still had that he and Jim could ever make it work again. Then came the bombshell. The landlord dropped a number that blew up the internet and completely changed how people looked at the whole Let's Rap About It operation. He claimed the unpaid balance was at least $80,000, maybe even $180,000, and some reports later pushed it all the way up to $250,000. No matter which figure you believed, it painted a brutal financial picture of Jim Jones's podcast business. A setup built on a studio that, allegedly, he couldn't even afford to keep running. The irony hit hard. The same crew that sat in that very studio questioning 50 Cent's ethics apparently couldn't pay to keep the lights on while doing it. Fans were stunned and critics pounced fast. But 50 Cent didn't just keep that call to himself. Oh no, he posted it publicly. He tagged everyone involved, captioned it with pure mockery, and let the receipts speak for themselves. What started as a podcast jab had now turned into a full-blown public humiliation. The message couldn't have been clearer. While Jim Jones and his co-hosts sat in that studio questioning 50 Cent's documentary ethics, they apparently couldn't even afford the chairs they were sitting on. And for 50, this wasn't the ending, it was the setup. Word started spreading fast that 50 Cent had either partnered with or straight up bought the entire building from Sam, flipping his role from internet troll to actual landlord. Suddenly, he wasn't just clowning Jim online, he had real power over the place. Then 50 dropped a post that sent shockwaves through the culture. Sam is my partner. I own the joint now. You gonna fix every door you kicked or I'ma kick you, Jimmy. Whether that ownership claim was fully true or just more of 50's master-level trolling didn't even matter anymore. The perception was locked in. As far as the public was concerned, 50 Cent was the landlord now, and what came next felt like the ultimate payback. On February 19, 2026, 50 hit the internet with something no one expected. It wasn't a diss track, not a meme, not even a slick caption. It was security camera footage, time-stamped, crystal clear, and painfully humiliating. The clip showed Jim Jones and his crew standing in a hallway outside the studio, identified as IFC Film Studios, locked out, frustrated, and clearly realizing that the tables had turned in the most public way possible. The scene was straight out of a movie. The lights were off, the doors were locked, and even the power had been cut. Jim Jones fumbled with one door, complaining about the electricity being shut down, before finally losing patience and kicking in another door just to get inside. Every second of it was caught in sharp, high-definition detail by the building's own security cameras, the very same ones that 50 Cent now seemed to have full access to. Then came 50's next move, a caption that was pure, cold mockery. He wrote, "Damn, bro, this wouldn't happen if we was friends. Wanna be friends? I don't know. Let's rap about it, law." That callback to the Let's Rap About It podcast name wasn't random. It was calculated, sharp, and meant to twist a knife deep. It told everyone exactly what this was, a public humiliation dressed up as a joke.
Jim Jones just went on to respond to 50 Cent after 50 posted on his Instagram that his lease has been terminated, letting Jim Jones know that he lost his deposit after he was seen knocking all those doors down. Well, Jim Jones took to his Instagram to post a video of what it seems to be him driving inside to the IFC warehouse.
Shit starting to look good on the coming. We almost pause. You know, I had to clean my window.
But 50 didn't stop there. He doubled down with receipts. He posted a full eviction notice addressed to Joseph Jones and IFC Management LLC, spelling out everything in black and white. The notice showed that Jones had already received a 15-day default warning that expired on January 22, 2026, followed by a 5-day termination notice ending on February 17, 2026. So when that infamous footage was filmed on February 19, 2026, the truth was clear. The lease had been dead for 2 days already, and 50 made sure the whole world knew it. The eviction notice did allow Jim Jones to collect his personal stuff, but that was it. Legally, his access to the studio was done. And when 50 posted it all online, the internet went into absolute meltdown. The reaction was instant, massive, and merciless. Complex called the whole thing next level, while fans packed the comments with phrases like peak petty and genius. Everyone agreed. 50 hadn't thrown a single punch, but he still landed one of the most brutal hits of his career. Instead of fists, he used paperwork, power moves, and surveillance footage, a masterclass in how to win a feud without ever raising your voice. On X, one fan wrote, "This feud will last a lifetime," while others started asking the big question, how did 50 even get access to those security cameras? People began calling it straight up Big Brother energy. Rumors swirled that his new partnership with the landlord gave him full control over the entire surveillance system, letting him watch everything go down in real time. Meanwhile, YouTube's All Urban Central broke it all down in detail, calling it a wild collision of old-school beef, messy business deals, and social media chaos, all orchestrated by the one and only 50 Cent. The host nailed it perfectly, saying viewers were watching two realities unfold at once, a business war and a viral spectacle, and 50 was winning both. The wild part was the contrast, the serious reality of an eviction clashing with the ridiculousness of how it all unfolded online. That mix made the moment unforgettable. 50 Cent had somehow flipped the messy landlord-tenant dispute into full-blown viral content, and he was winning the narrative like a mastermind. Then, he cranked the pressure even higher, posting a warning to Jim Jones, pay up by Monday or things get worse. He wasn't bluffing either. 50 kept dropping new clips, tagging more people, and keeping the spotlight burning on Jones non-stop. For 50, humiliation isn't a one-time hit. It's a strategy, a campaign. He drags it out, keeps it public, and doesn't stop until his target either goes quiet or completely cracks. Online, people were obsessed, dissecting every second of that security footage like detectives. The jokes came flying fast. One commenter wrote, "From Dipset to set out," while another called the crew lobby boys. Someone even joked, "Super Thug Grandpa doesn't even know how to kick a door." The internet was ruthless.
He then went on to caption that video by saying, "At the IFC Factory, opening soon, a multi-purpose content creation facility for music, fashion, and broadcasts. For artists from all walks of life, come be creative in a creative safe haven built from and for community. Membership programs will be available. Everyone thought Noah was drunk and crazy till the rain came."
But the harshest takes came from users who zoomed out, connecting it all back to hip-hop's money image. They said this moment exposed how some rappers aren't living the luxury they brag about. The eviction video wasn't just entertainment, it became a brutal reminder that in this game, image isn't always reality, and 50 Cent just proved he knows exactly how to turn someone else's downfall into his own spotlight. That footage didn't just embarrass Jim Jones, it shattered the larger-than-life image he'd built over decades. Suddenly, his whole brand of power, hustle, and status was being questioned in real time for the world to see. Then came Jim's response, and it wasn't what anyone expected. No press conference, no diss track. Instead, he hit Instagram stories with a clip of himself doing martial arts moves, chopping wood, with a big Bruce Lee poster behind him. The caption, "Kung Fu Jim, no locked doors at all." It was slick, symbolic, and clearly meant to flip the narrative without ever admitting defeat. The post went viral instantly. Commentary channels broke it down frame by frame. Some said Jim was showing discipline and control. Others thought it was his way of laughing off the situation without giving 50 Cent the satisfaction of a direct reply. But the deeper takes went further. Hosts and analysts pointed out that this wasn't just about one feud, it was about history. Years of quiet tension between these two men were bubbling up again, and now every move they made carried extra meaning. This was bigger than rent, it was legacy versus legacy. That response, turning his own humiliation into content, might have been the smartest move Jim Jones could make, because once 50 Cent gets a reaction, he's already won. That's his game plan, and he's been running it for decades. It's why the history behind this feud matters so much. It's not random, it's personal, layered, and built on years of tension that never really faded. The roots of this rivalry go way back to the mid-2000s when G-Unit and Dipset were two of the biggest, most influential crews in New York hip-hop. These weren't just rap groups, they were empires, both fighting for dominance in music, fashion, and street credibility. The tension wasn't always front and center, but it was always there, simmering under the surface through industry politics, ego clashes, and crew loyalty.
Jim Jones misses a day on the rent or does anything wrong, we're gonna hear about it because the landlord is automatically gonna call his new partner 50 Cent. And just think about it, when you're already at odds with your landlord like this, bro, there's just gonna be a million problems. You're probably gonna be trying to get things done. They're probably gonna be playing you out. Bro, I'm just trying to tell you, man, this is just gonna be a mess.
Then came 2007, the year everything exploded. 50 Cent went on Hot 97 and publicly dissed Koch Records, the label Jim Jones was signed to, calling it a graveyard. That one comment lit the match. Cameron called in live to defend the label, and just like that, the cold tension between Dipset and G-Unit turned into a full-on war. And to make it even messier, at that very moment, Jim and Cameron weren't even speaking. So while their internal drama brewed, 50 stepped right into the chaos, stirring the pot and shaping a rivalry that nearly 20 decades later is still playing out in front of millions. Dipset was already breaking apart from the inside, and 50 Cent spotted the weakness like a shark smelling blood. He saw his moment and moved with pure strategy. In September 2007, he invited Jim Jones and Jules Santana to hit the stage at a G-Unit concert, and they actually showed up. Together they performed We Fly High, one of Jones's biggest hits at the time. To outsiders, it looked like a surprise collab, but for Cameron, it was straight-up betrayal. His own Dipset brothers performing with the enemy? That was a stab in the back. But for 50, it was a calculated move, a power play that blurred lines between friendship, loyalty, and business. Years later, 50 even admitted that none of it was accidental. He revealed how he had planned every step, using psychological warfare to turn a crack in Dipset's unity into a public spectacle. He understood that Jim was finally having his first major moment with ballin' after years of watching others in his circle shine before him. And 50, ever the strategist, knew exactly how to use that hunger to his advantage. That line, "We like Jimmy better than you anyway," wasn't a compliment, it was a weapon. A verbal dagger meant to slice right between Jim Jones and Cameron, feeding one man's ego while wounding the other's pride. 50 Cent didn't just stir the pot, he engineered an emotional trap. He played on Jones's hunger for validation and Cam's need for respect, all in one masterstroke of manipulation. 50 knew exactly what he was doing. He watched Jones soak up the praise and recognized instantly that the play had landed. He saw that spark, the ambition, the hunger, the willingness to cross a line Cameron would never forgive, and 50 used it to his advantage. That single 2007 moment didn't just shake Dipset, it defined 2 decades of drama between these men, locking them into an endless cycle of provocation, retaliation, and power games. And when you zoom out, it all makes sense. What happened with the studio footage wasn't just random payback, it was another move in 50 Cent's long-running strategy. He's been running this same playbook since the early 2000s, a refined system of conflict that turns every beef into a headline and every feud into content that fuels his empire. For 50, controversy isn't chaos, it's currency. He doesn't just fight his rivals, he profits from them, converting drama into dominance and humiliation into business.
Starting the year off at the top of your Explorer. Are you not entertained? Everybody want to put my business in the street. I'm going to talk to you about my business. Right now, I am in the second phase of construction. I was thinking of building like a little mart, but we'll see how that goes. About something what we're doing. I'm building a multi-purpose content creation facility.
50 Cent's entire playbook, the one he still uses today, was born out of his legendary war with Ja Rule and Murder Inc. After surviving a 2000 shooting allegedly tied to their camp, 50 didn't just recover, he came back swinging with Wankster and a string of Back Down records that systematically dismantled Ja Rule's career while launching himself into superstardom. That feud wasn't just lyrical, it was personal. It spilled into physical confrontations, behind-the-scenes blacklisting, and mixtape drops so ruthless that they caught the attention of Eminem and Dr. Dre, changing 50's entire life overnight. From that chaos, 50 learned one of the most powerful lessons in hip-hop history. Conflict, when controlled, is marketing gold. Most artists try to avoid beef. 50 turned it into a business model, and unlike others, he never forgot the formula. For more than 20 years, he's applied that same method with chilling precision. The Rick Ross feud, the Floyd Mayweather exchanges, even the Tierra Mari legal saga, each one following the exact same steps: provoke, escalate, document, post, and then let the internet do the rest. While others scramble to defend themselves, 50 just watches the numbers rise. Views, clicks, headlines, all rolling in. Fans on X call him the roast god and the best troll on the net. Billboard even labeled him hip-hop's ultimate narrator, a man who plays puppet master, stirring chaos from a distance while keeping his hands spotless and his image stronger than ever. The Jim Jones saga is the most polished and most ruthless version of 50 Cent's signature strategy yet. This time, he didn't rely on diss tracks or street drama. He weaponized real-life business moves. Instead of dropping bars, he dropped property receipts. Instead of subliminal jabs, he used security camera footage. And instead of cryptic lyrics, he posted lease termination papers, stamped, signed, and dated. No metaphors, no confusion, just cold legal proof. It was the evolution of beef, corporate warfare played out like entertainment. And when you look at the numbers, it's easy to see why 50 can move the way he does, without fear, without hesitation. The man has sold over 30 million albums worldwide, scored 3 #1 hits on the Billboard Hot 100, and built an empire through G-Unit Films, the Power TV franchise, and the legendary vitamin water deal that reportedly earned him around $100 million. By 2026, 50 Cent's estimated net worth sits somewhere between $40 million and $100 million, depending on who you ask, enough to turn any feud into a flex. Meanwhile, Jim Jones's stats tell a much smaller story. His biggest hit, We Fly High, came in the mid-2000s, and while he's dropped 7 solo albums, their combined first-week sales haven't topped 21,000 units since 2005. His estimated net worth? Around $400,000. The power imbalance is undeniable. This wasn't just a feud, it was financial mismatch turned into public entertainment. And 50 Cent once again proved he doesn't just fight his battles, he owns them. Even if you bump Jim Jones's net worth to $600,000, the financial gap between him and 50 Cent isn't just a side note, it's the entire battlefield. When 50 offers to buy the very studio you're getting evicted from, the power dynamic screams louder than any diss track ever could. The money itself becomes the message, but to his credit, Jim Jones didn't vanish. After the eviction footage went viral, he flipped the narrative with that kung fu video, calling the whole situation free promo for his brand. Then he doubled down, posting a walkthrough of his studio, showing new construction underway and presenting himself not as a man defeated, but as a builder, an investor in a bigger creative vision.
Acceptable for someone to create a documentary about you without your approval. How would you feel if it happened to you?
It's like,
Definitely not acceptable. It's facetious and petty.
right. It's like somebody putting out your tape.
Without your permission, and you're not an actual star. And
The lighting wasn't good enough.
make you just look bad. Oh, they called me on the bad day.
He framed the space as a multi-purpose content hub, not the scene of an eviction, rebranding it as the next chapter of his hustle. And to make it even more powerful, he highlighted the young creators still working inside the studio, saying their grind was proof that opportunity matters more than comfort. For Jones, it wasn't about saving face, it was about shifting perspective. He wanted people to see that the vision outlasts the drama, that this was about growth, not loss, and that even after public humiliation, he could still turn pain into purpose. Jim Jones didn't shy away from the criticism. He even acknowledged the freezing cold inside the studio, the same detail that 50 Cent and Cameron had been clowning non-stop. 50 had even taken things up a notch, adding fake wind sound effects and sarcastic captions to clips showing the crew bundled up like they were in the Arctic. But instead of pretending everything was fine, Jim faced it straight on. It was a smart move, a shift in strategy. Own the mess, flip the story, and keep pushing forward. Still, whether that response was enough to cool the situation down is anyone's guess. Some reports claim Jim eventually wired over $200,000 to the landlord to settle the debt and secure his space, basically buying himself time to keep building. But that didn't stop 50. He kept posting, kept mocking, acting like the payment didn't erase the embarrassment that had already gone viral. Then Cameron, Jim's former Dipset brother, jumped into the chaos too. Instead of backing him, Cam started mocking Jim's money problems, even joking online that he'd send him Zelle money for heating costs. That jab hit hard, reigniting old wounds between the two. Jim clapped back instantly, calling Cam soft and freaky, turning their rocky history into fresh drama. By February 21, 2026, the whole thing had spiraled. What started as a studio eviction had morphed into a full-blown circus, with old allies turning into loud critics and the feud spreading like wildfire across hip-hop's biggest circles. By the end of February 2026, the situation had evolved beyond just a feud. It had become a cultural spectacle. Every day brought a new post, a new clip, or another slick comment from 50 Cent that kept the internet hooked. What started as a landlord dispute had now turned into a lesson in digital dominance, showing how 50 could bend real-life chaos into viral entertainment. Media outlets couldn't look away. TMZ, The Shade Room, and hip-hop all covered the ongoing drama like it was a TV series. Fans debated every move. Some called 50's tactics genius business strategy, while others accused him of crossing the line and turning humiliation into sport. Still, everyone agreed on one thing: nobody does petty like 50. Meanwhile, Jim Jones tried to keep his focus on music and content, teasing a new project he claimed was inspired by pressure. Insiders said he was using the spotlight to rebuild his brand, turning embarrassment into energy, trying to show that resilience hits harder than revenge.
For media, fashion, music, and broadcast opportunities, still being working in the midst of us for it. So he's still in the midst of construction. Trying to say is, I've been happy to be able to invest in myself as something that I know is going to help a lot of other people. I'm not building this facility for myself, that's why I invested in myself. But I'm building this facility for all creators. Appreciate the promo. I love free promo. You know, I ain't gonna miss a beat.
But deep down, fans knew this story wasn't over. With 50 Cent, it never is. Every feud is just another episode, another masterclass in control, and another reminder that in his world, beef isn't just business, it's branding. So far, no legal action has been confirmed, just a steady exchange of threats and posts as both sides keep the flames alive on social media. The situation hasn't cooled off one bit. If anything, it's become a permanent fixture in hip-hop's ongoing soap opera. Neither Jim Jones nor 50 Cent seems ready to back down. They're both too invested in the spotlight to let this fade quietly. The question that all Urban Central asked in their final breakdown still lingers in the air, heavy and unresolved. Is this about pride or power? After nearly 20 years of back-and-forth tension, the truth might be a mix of both. But let's be real, only one of them owns the building. And that's what makes this story unforgettable. It's not just about music anymore. It's about dominance, image, and legacy. The saga of 50 Cent and Jim Jones is still unfolding. And if history tells us anything, the next move will be just as explosive as the last. Thanks for watching. If you love this breakdown, like, share, and subscribe for more wild stories just like this. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Whose side are you on, 50 or Jim? And don't forget to click one of the videos on your screen to keep the drama going.